Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of FormuLATTE with me, Saransh, and my co-host Shreyas. Today, we have the pleasure of talking to Mr. Sri Alathur.
Mr. Sri Alathur has a degree in electronics and telecommunications from Bangalore University in India, and he has his MBA from Rutgers Business School.
So, Mr. Alathur, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you grew up.
Thank you. First of all, I really appreciate the opportunity you guys have given. And I think it's kudos to you for even setting this podcast up. It's amazing what you've achieved in a short time. And, really, commendable job,
thank you.
guys.
Thank you so
Seriously.
much.
All right. No, but thank you also for having me on this.
course.
So, hi, everyone. Sri Alathur here. I grew up in India, and people wonder what region of India I come from. So I'd like to say, yes, I was born in Bangalore, but I did my my elementary and middle school in Pune, which is, a little up north, and then high school in Chennai, which in those days was called Madras, and then back engineering in Bangalore. So yeah, I speak diverse languages, and my mother tongue is Telugu. So hey, uh, so if you want to say something bad about me, don't say anything in Telugu, Tamil, Kannada, Marathi,
Yeah.
Hindi. Anyway, but that really kind of helped me be comfortable with working and mingling with different diverse groups, personalities, individuals, and just the diversity of India is so awesome, and I really learned to appreciate that, through growing up. So that's my background, being in India. And I did my engineering, as you mentioned, in electronics and telecommunication from Bangalore University.
Right. And I wanted to ask a little bit, how was your middle school, high school journey? And were there any things that, you weren't able to overcome and that you took a different route to overcome?
Yeah, great question. So here's the point about, if you live in a family that's moving. My dad was in a central government job, so he was getting transferred. So when you move from one region to another, and especially in India, when you go from the south to the north and then come back to the south, there are a lot of culture shocks that you'll come across, and so I had my share of that. So again, there's a difference in when you grew up in the north, at least in Pune. When I was growing up, you were so. I mean, I was in a Catholic school, so there was a different way of discipline in there, and the philosophies of our teachers and what you taught, the emphasis on sports and things like that was amazing growing up. And then come to high school, and when I came to the South, it was an absolute culture shock for me because the emphasis was a lot on academics. Sports, oh my God, that's an extracurricular activity. No, that's a distraction. And so it was a tough transition, where there was an overall focus on education and academics and sports in one in one region and one particular kind of schooling that I went to. Shout out to Loyola, one of the very few schools that had a swimming pool in it. So just like you have sports, a PD class, we had swim class, but that was completely different when I moved south. And it's an amazing institution that I joined in high school, Padma Shri Shadri, but the focus was so much on academics.
Right.
And so that gave me a totally different perspective about, and a very conservative, school system. And it was tough getting used to that. But that's where, you want to try and get into different activities and groups. You have a lot of tough time trying to fit in because you want to fit in, right? You have this peer pressure of, I want to be with the cool kids. I want to be part of that. And so I remember when I joined the first time, I had a tough year. And my teachers really wrote me off, saying that you're not going to pass, eighth grade. And I went and told my dad that, this teacher said that it'll be a miracle if I, pass the grade. And this is something my dad told me, which it just really changed my life. And he said, "Then make that miracle happen."
That's great.
Yeah.
Wow. Like,
Yeah.
and then so in ninth grade was where I of course, eighth grade, I really struggled at the last final, we call the final exam, graduated from eighth and ninth grade. And that's where I, opportunities just came to me, where I was, head of the math class, and I hated math, but I was head of the math club. I was a troop leader for scouts, and they never had scouting, and so we introduced that. And then I was the group captain of the greenhouses. So there are a lot of leadership opportunities that came about for a kid who came into this environment with like knowing not what to do, because even the education system was way advanced, right? I mean, the South had this curriculum that was way ahead of what I had come from. So chemistry and math was like, poof. But that's where, if someone says, you can't do it, it's going to take a miracle for, you to do something, make it happen.
It's great. So when you moved from the north to the south, you mentioned the change in education system and all that. Did your dream change? Like, what was your dream as when you were in the north at school? Maybe it was more inclined to sports or like those kind of activities, or was it more towards education when you were in the south?
Well, this is where, again, confession. I was a kid who was, always into extracurricular activities. Academics was not the main focus for me at that time. I wanted, and my parents used to always say this, you're all about play, and friends, and, focus in studies. And that's, we all grow up with our parents saying study, study, study. And then later on you could do whatever you want. But then, I was really the opposite and struggling with academics, but then I wanted to do a lot of things like, yes, sports, but I was more into acting and doing creative things, and maybe, I don't know, you could say I had some form of ADHD growing up, and
Right.
and it's not a bad thing, guys. I mean, there are so many things you want to do, you're distracted, but you have a certain creative sense of mind. So to me, yes, there's the creative angle that I love to be creative in many things, but growing up, people don't look at creativity as an opportunity. It's all about academics and focus on structure and studies, and so anything creative is considered not good, not important.
Right.
There's no career there.
Yeah.
And
So yeah, on the topic of careers, what was your dream about growing up, and how did you explore it throughout your schooling?
Yeah, great. So this is where, and I, of course, I want to give credit to my parents. My mom is super creative,
Right.
art and everything, and my dad, he was a physicist, so astronomy and meteorology. So there's this one half that was very academic, focused, and then my mother, who was more creative. So I probably got a little bit of both, from both. And then in high school, and I was just graduating from high school, I had no idea what I was going to do, but I knew there was something that I'd do in the area of creativity, and then see if I can combine science and technology in some way. So when I was getting into college, this is just when I finished high school, right? And this is the, there was an epiphany that I got. I mean, I came across. I just saw, and I was struggling to see what I was going to do with my career. Like, do I get into science technology? Do I do something creative? How do I balance both? And I saw a 5-minute clip on television. This is back in India, where there was at the end of a university program or something that comes up in the afternoon. It talked about how Star Wars was made using computers. And I was like, wow, because I remember watching Star Wars when I was a kid, like the first Star Wars that came out, I was 10 years old. And I'm like, oh, wow. And then there was this little clip that showed computers being used to create special effects and that. And I said, that is what I want to do, because it combines technology, it combines creativity. And I said, special effects, computer graphics. That is what I want to do. So that was literally the first year getting into college, just getting out of high school. And I said, that's what I want to do. So I said, okay, where can I get it? Computer science was hard to get, right? And in India, you either do engineering, you're in medicine, or if you don't do both, you become a lawyer. That's a joke, but pretty much very limited career opportunities. So when I saw this and I said, this is what I got to do, I was looking at computer science courses and areas. It was tough to get. And I finally got into something close. Okay, electronics is good. Let's get into that. But I kept in touch with books and watching movies and seeing how they did that and what could they have done using technology and animation and computer graphics, to a point where it drove my parents crazy, because my mom would say, and this is, I'm talking about, I'll age myself here, 1985, where computer graphics was unheard of in India.
Right.
Nobody knew what computer graphics or special effects was. And my mom would call my friends and say, what's this guy? He talks about graphics. I don't know what the graphics, and he's going mad, advise him. So that was a weird time where I was so bent and nobody knew it, but I got into computers in some way. I was doing some kind of basic animation with a very early version of the Apple Mac. It was called the Macintosh 2.
Yeah.
And I got into this little company that was doing some kind of graphics for a video or a television show. And that's how I got into it. So then I joined a company, and this is after 4 years of engineering. I kept graphics and computer graphics as my goal, went through college, and then I joined this company that was doing computer graphics. Now, this is a weird thing about it. So I joined a company that was doing multimedia. Mm-hmm. In those days, if you combined, video and graphics and things like that, it was called different medias, called multimedia. And then after that, I joined a company that's called Avid, which is now very famous. It's based in Tewksbury, Connecticut, which is used in all movies and all television shows that you see. You'll see the word Avid. It's an editing software. So I became the product manager for Avid in India. Mm-hmm. And I was able to see how special effects are done, like how Hollywood starts doing special effects. This is very early on when the studios in India started looking at computer graphics and special effects. And then that's where I said, okay, I'm working with animators, working with graphic artists, a few of those. And then you start stepping away and you start teaching these youngsters how to do it. I was young too, but then you take on a leadership role, right? And then you realize you are managing a project. You're managing a project that results in a movie. Yeah. And when you look at movies and you see those, thousands of names that comes at the end of the credits, that is your project team. And so I was thinking I'm going to become a visual effects supervisor or project manager. So that's where you start looking at project management.
I think it's cool how in the 80s and 90s, when graphic design was not such a prevalent part of like what jobs were at that time, how you were like a pioneer in the industry. And now if you look at today, 2024, how prevalent it is in today's society and how many jobs are created from it. 50-60% of the entertainment industry uses some part of graphic design to create content. And I just want to ask, in your job in Avid, right, and how you were a base of that in India, how do you use that in your job today?
Yeah, so it's interesting, and this is something that pretty much everybody who works in corporate would know about, is creating presentations, right? PowerPoint is a very, most used software. But the basic thing is that you want to convey your story, or you want to convey a certain concept, or you want to show results, or, whatever you want to present, PowerPoint is used. Now, as they say, visual is worth 1,000 words. So when you want to present something, people rely on visuals, right?
Definitely.
Now, that's where the art of storytelling comes into play. A lot of people don't realize that a presentation is nothing but telling a story, right? And if you're able to do that visually, it has a huge impact, right? Because visuals really get to the core of the matter. Now, my advantage of being able to, use visual effects and graphics into actually making presentations is possible because I probably have been successful at telling a story using visuals. Like, and one of the biggest challenges that is thrown at me is, my management comes up and, with 100-slide presentation and say, okay, can you edit this? Can you make it? Now, where I think my benchmark is bringing those 100 slides into 5 slides.
Right.
Now, to do that, it's mind bending because how do you take all this content and if you really get into corporate life, you're talking about graphs and charts and data and people fill it with words. And yeah, if you are ask some basic questions, who's your audience? What's the message you want to convey? You can cut down all that content that is in 100 slides into 5 slides. Make your point across. Now, I'm able to do that because I think visually. I'm a very visual thinker.
Right.
And if you give me instructions, I'm like literally in my mind, I'm converting that into pictures, and then that makes it more, understandable for me. I know a lot of individuals who are the same. You
Right.
give them tons of instructions or you read it out, they don't get it, but then you show pictures and then like, absolutely, now I get it, now I understand. So that's one of the advantages of that I probably have in terms of being able to convert anything into a very succinct visual presentation. So that's what I am using in my job right now. So when I have to, convince my team, convince my management, show them, I'm able to, put together a presentation that's short, succinct, to the point, depending on what the message I want to convey. And in fact, I get a lot of requests from my senior leadership who says, hey, can you help us with this presentation? Can you help create this? So here's another thing, and not many people know that PowerPoint is such a powerful software. I can make a movie using PowerPoint. A lot of people don't think PowerPoint they think it's just slides with words in it. Oh man, no way. So yeah, one of my skills I would say is I've been very comfortable using PowerPoint. So even if you want to make a poster or anything, I know people use Canva and a lot of other softwares.
Right.
I would pick PowerPoint over anything because I'm so adept at creating these presentations. So visual medium to me is a big deal, and so I'm able to use that at my job.
Right. And so how would you tie in statistics and visual storytelling, just like you were saying? Though I think those are very important towards networking. So how would you tie those into networking and connecting with others while also conveying your idea?
Yeah, so there's this new buzzword called infographics. Mm-hmm. So infographic is nothing but taking all these numbers and data and charts and graphs and making it into a very, one-pager view of really what the message you want to convey. So to me, there's very little in this world that you cannot create a visual out of it. In fact, if you haven't seen this movie, I encourage you to see it. Something which is a very abstract concept and making it a visual. And this is a Disney movie called Inside Out.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Definitely.
Inside Out wanted to they use emotions, and you can see a visual format of how you visualize those emotions and like literally in a visual format, which is something abstract and people don't talk about or think about. That is an example of how there's nothing in this world that are having words or data that you can really convert it into a very pictorial presentation. And that's what I would say. Just Google the word infographics and you will see one-pagers of very complex concepts crystallized into a very simple visual message.
Yeah, I mean, Of course, I've made quite a few infographics for school myself, but
There you
yeah,
go.
it's definitely it's good for putting information into a succinct thing, and it's also good for like visual appeal because I think in my case, like I don't know, the way I learn is through visuals, right? And
There you go.
I like to see a process taking place instead of just like looking at words on a thing. For example, in the subject maybe like biology, right? It's so hard to like look at a bunch of words on a slide and see this is photosynthesis when I could just easily look at a diagram and be like, okay, that makes more sense. It goes in a circle this way, and then that happens, and then that happens. I think the best way to convey that is something like an infographic. So I want to shift a little bit, and a little bit you talked about earlier as your passion for a kid was about plays and creativity in that sense. Do you still incorporate that into your life today?
Yeah, no, absolutely. There are so many opportunities out there where, yeah, there is work, pays the bills.
course.
Absolutely very important and have a career. But then there's also this creative side, and where I'm going with this is everyone is passionate about something.
Right.
Okay, it could be passionate about a certain, sport. You could be passionate about a certain concept. And the people who are religious, they're passionately religious about things. They're passionate about the economy. They're passionate about politics. But no matter what it is, you have a passion that you want to work in that gives you a lot of satisfaction. Absolutely, I think there are opportunities where you can indulge in that. Now, one thing you definitely want to stay away is getting into what I call as an echo chamber, which means you're getting into this group or this kind of thinking that is very kind of limited, and you are kind of encapsulate yourself in just a narrow field. I would say just open your mind up, try different areas. You don't know what you'll start enjoying, where you can actually exercise your passion and so on. So my passion, yes, is absolutely about performing arts. I love movies, and one of the areas which I never thought I would ever get into is theater. And that's where, just out of association with some local community groups, I got into, saying, okay, let me try my hand at acting. And I, got into a community group here called ICS Theater. And there were opportunities to act. But then there's also this commitment that you have to put in across your rehearsals, your time commitments, and you have a job. You can't always devote time. So this is where I'm talking about the balance, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The balance of, how you want to do something that you're very passionate about, but then you got to do the mundane things. You got to do your laundry. You got to do dishes. You got to come home to your chores. You got responsibilities that will increase as you go on. And the same thing you'll see that even from high school on. You got assignments, you got homework, and then college becomes even more crazier. And how do you balance all this? So that's where you want to make sure that you set aside time for certain activities, and you cannot do everything at once. You got to be a little more practical and accepting, saying that you can't do everything, but you can. What I say is keep your sanity intact by doing the things that you have to do, because you have to graduate, you have to do your assignments, you have to do all that, and not everyone enjoy it, but you can also do that and then take some time off to do what you love to do in other times. So you kind of balance both, and then you come back refreshed, and then you're motivated to do your assignments and do your job, do your chores, do whatever normal people think is boring and tiresome and all that kind of things. Life has that part of it. It's not all about fun and games, but then fun and games can help balance that out. So you set aside time for both, and I think you'll really enjoy yourself.
Right. And I love what you said about balance, because it's very prevalent in our case as well. As high schoolers, we're very, very, very packed with studying, as well as, a lot of us like sports. Like I run track myself, Sranj plays soccer, and we definitely have to make different time for these commitments. So on a different note, how do you incorporate neurodiversity into your theater plays?
Wow, thanks. Great question. Yeah, neurodiversity, and I really wanted to, attribute it to my daughter Ria. She's a neurodiverse individual who really opened up this world of neurodiversity. And what neurodiversity is, it's a word that you won't hear very often, but now it's picking up. It's basically, we're talking of diversity. We're talking of diversity of color, skin, race, creed, right? Religion. There is diversity in the mind, in the way the brain works. And so there are individuals who, what society calls special needs individuals, but I think the more appropriate term is neurodiverse individuals, who have a different way the brain is wired. They have a different way they understand, the different way they get input, the different way they interpret what you're saying or what they're seeing. So all the senses, whether it's hearing, seeing, feel, it's completely analyzed in their brain in a different way than what the larger population is. So that is what is, in a nutshell, neurodiversity all about. And when we talk about neurodiverse individuals, we're talking about a large spectrum of different used to, and I don't want to use the word disability. It's more like diverse abilities.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I believe every one of those individuals has certain skills that are far exceed their challenges. Mm-hmm. And that is something that I'm very passionate about wanting to highlight because my daughter, Ria Alathur, she is an amazing athlete. She has been in the Special Olympics, the USA National Games twice. Her image has been featured on the side of a bus. And she has absolutely shown that she has strengths that, can overcome certain challenges that she has. And when I saw that happen in her, and I said, wow, that's something that, a lot of neurodiverse individuals have these abilities to overcome the challenges by just focusing on successes, and, credit to Monroe Township High School has got an amazing neurodiverse program. And seriously, there is a transition program even after graduating from high school,
Right,
that helps these neurodiverse individuals transition into the real world, trying to find jobs, opportunities. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there is this group that makes that's got a cafe in Monroe Township High School.
Yep.
For your teachers
Yes.
and staff. That is a classic example of how there are opportunities given to these neurodiverse individuals to be able to get into some kind of activity that makes them feel proud, improves their self-esteem, self-confidence, and so on. So what I was doing is, what can I do with my passion of creativity and structure and project management, and how do I put it all together, but with a purpose? And so when I got into theater and I started looking at theater, and I was looking at my daughter, she is amazing on stage. And that's theater. She's a great gymnast. Okay, that's good. She's great at playing music. And then I was looking at, and Rekha, my wife, and me, as mom and dad, was looking at what is common between all these activities? Music, theater, sports. And I started realizing there's a pattern to it. There's a pattern where, it's structured.
Right.
Practice, practice, practice. So these individuals may not be successful in all areas, but they have certain skills that be success in certain areas. So that is where, when I started getting into theater and I started seeing opportunities where these individuals can be actually part of theater. I've been told by directors that performing arts thrives on exclusion. It's like saying, oh, you're not right for this role. Oh, you're not right for that role. They do auditions, and it's like, but then I started seeing opportunities where, you could have these amazing performances and plays with individuals of different abilities. And so I directed 2 plays now. I've got 2 plays that I'm very proud of, where we actually went and auditioned special needs, neurodiverse individuals who even their parents didn't know they could act. But then kudos to the parents and caregivers and guardians who said, let's take that opportunity. So
Right.
This is where I really encourage businesses, big and small, to really look at neurodiverse individuals and give opportunities for them, because you will see improvement in your customer experience, employee experience, your bottom line, and it's so fulfilling. They're the most hardworking individuals, trust me. When I start my rehearsals, the first people to be on time are these individuals.
Right.
That's great.
They are very committed. Because here's the thing, right? They want to prove to themselves and to the others that they are not beneath anyone, right? They will work harder than anyone else. They will be on time. They are most sincere in their work. So all the advantages that businesses and small businesses are looking for, you will find in these individuals. Sincerity at work, on time, timeliness, productivity. There's a lot of advantages. So that's where, I was going with this. And I said, I probably am able to understand the opportunities and the strengths that these individuals have. And here right now, I want to, use FormuLATTE to make a proclamation, make an announcement, first time ever. I'm happy to work with any business, anyone, totally free of cost, no charge, to help you understand really the advantages of including neurodiverse individuals in your businesses.
I commend you as a parent and what you do for these individuals, and I'm getting emotional myself a little bit because it's so important for them to see that they are a benefit to society and they have different skill sets that they can prove themselves with. As you said, in the Monroe High School program, they work in cafes. I see my French teacher, she gets like a coffee every morning, and who delivers that? Those individuals. So it's so important for them to see that they have a path to success in life as well. And I commend you a lot as a parent and as like a caretaker of these people, and it's absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I also want to add on to that by saying it just goes to show that there's so many paths to success, and that you don't need to only focus on one specific way. Like you said, practice. Practice can also be exploration, where you want to explore different things and also go in one, and then you decide, like, you choose one path that you want to take. And of course, there will be things that will try to stop you, but you always have to either choose a different path or overcome it with all you can.
Right. Yeah, no, one of the examples, I was so passionate about computer graphics. Now, when I moved to the US, again, I was in the East Coast, right? All the movie companies and graphics is in the West Coast. So you will see opportunities like not being there. Like, you're passionate about something, but no chance to actually implement it and so on. But do not give up. It's been years since I've gone back to where I could use the passion and channelize my passion. So, the funny thing is, I say that I was the right guy, the right kid at the right time when, Pixar started way back when the first Toy Story movie and all of those made in Jurassic Park. So I was the right kid at the right time on the wrong side of the globe. Wow. So, you will be passionate about something, but you will see no opportunities around here. Do not give up. Just go and pursue it.
Yeah. And definitely your journey is always, like, I saw it when you were saying it. You were so passionate about it, but there was definitely things that were stopping you. But you always have to try to overcome it, just like I said before.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I noticed that that symbol on your blazer. I want to know
the pin, yeah.
Yeah. What is
that?
that?
No, this is a magic lamp. So I always keep this close to my heart because it's all about wonder and magic. And I used to, and I still do, entertain kids at parties to raise funds for special needs programs. Definitely. And my character is called the Jolly Genie. Oh. And so this is like not from Aladdin, the Disney movie, but the genie from Aladdin anyway. So this is a magic lamp, and it's a symbol of the magic in this life and magic you can bring to others' lives. And Jolly Genie is my character, and I'm passionate about starting a school for neurodiverse individuals in theater. Right. So it's going to be called Jolly Genie Theater Company. So a lot of things that symbolize this as hope, wishes. People have dreams, wanting to make everything come true. So,
I love the message behind that. It's very sentimental, and that's just an amazing initiative that you are planning to take. So that was amazing.
I definitely would want to thank you guys for the opportunity. But here's something that I want to share with you, and what you guys can make a difference. And when I say you guys, I mean everybody in school, in college, is really, how you could interact with neurodiverse individuals. Definitely. Now, they will appear totally different they might appear indifferent because you're trying to talk to them, but you're not getting the kind of reaction you want with you normally get with your friends and your cool friends that you have. But here's where what I really would suggest is try to include them, and this is where inclusion is another big buzzword you'll hear about.
Right.
Inclusion is all about what you could do about including them in programs that you have, in school events, at work. So inclusion could be in school, inclusion could be at work, inclusion could be in community events. And that's where I want you to include these individuals, and you'll see the difference in how in the empathy, the love, and everything that just increases, and what a great experience you'll have when these individuals are part of your team.
Definitely. I feel inclusion and opportunity are things that go in hand, and they would definitely make a more like sustainable and lovable environment for everyone. Right. So yeah, we thank you for your time. We love this conversation that we had today.
It was a great conveation.
Thank you. Absolutely. It's a pleasure being here. Again, kudos to you guys, and even you folks behind the scenes here for a great great operation that you have going here. You really proved beyond doubt, and even I know other kids or older kids and adults like us who say, "Oh, we've got to do this, we got to do that." You guys actually have done it. So congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean, of course, we always like to highlight the guests, but I also want to give a special shout out to our video editor, Surya, and our audio engineer, Neil, as well as my dad, for helping so much with the backstage production. And of course, you guys, I'll be honest, you guys do so much more than I ever expected that we would ever come to. And I think having a guest like this on our podcast is really truly a great time to shout out everyone that's part of this production.
Congratulations, guys. Absolutely.
Thank you.
You guys want to just come behind me and just say hi to the audience?
Yeah.
Come on, camera. This won't be complete without you.
Hey guys. All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. Bye. Brewing success,
one sip at a time.